We're doing it, folks. We're doing it. Finally, we're doing it. You guys have been dying to see it. We're going to do it. We need to talk about Donald Trump's first cabinet meeting because holy shit, guys. It's a shit show. So, for
Sure.
Donald Trump's first cabinet meeting, he invited a bunch of the press in to cover it. And we're not going to watch the whole thing, but we are going to watch a particularly noteworthy part of it because it's insane. Okay? So this cabinet meeting is where all of the different secretaries meet up. They all talk about and plan together what they're going to do. You know, in theory, this should be like a pretty standard thing. Typically the press is not invited into these types of affairs, but this became a whole media circus. And very noteworthy here is that Donald Trump is very, very clearly not the power player here. It's insane how clear the power dynamic is when you see it play out in this room.
Taxes and based on many things in the
This is from
border,
earlier
but
today.
also based on balancing budgets and getting our country back into shape, and this is a big part of it. So Elon, if you could get up and explain where you are, how you're doing, and how much we're cutting, and it's an honor to have you. He's been a tremendously successful guy. He's really working so hard, and he's got businesses to run. And in many ways, I say, how do you do this? And, you know, he's sacrificing a lot and getting a lot of praise, I'll tell you, but he's also getting hit.
Elon Musk, by the way, not a secretary head. He's according to the White House just a guy. He's just some guy with no real government power, and yet so much deference paid to him.
And we would expect that, and that's the way it works. So I'd like to have Elon Musk please say a few words.
Well,
Thank you, Elon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I actually just call myself a humble tech support here because this is actually as crazy as.
I'm sorry. That's not real laughter. He's laughing the same way like they're all laughing the same way subordinates in a mob film chuckle along to a presumed jibe from their boss.
It sounds. That is almost a literal description of the work that the Doge team is doing, is helping fix the government computer systems. Many of these systems are extremely old. They don't communicate. There are a lot of mistakes in the systems. The software doesn't work. So we are actually tech support. It's ironic, but it's true. The overall goal here with the Doge team is to help address the enormous deficit. We simply cannot sustain as a country $2 trillion deficits. The interest rates, just the interest on the national debt, now exceeds the Defense Department spending. We spend a lot on the Defense Department, but we're spending like over $1 trillion on interest.
Yeah, if only we were, I don't know, like a country with a currency we can print infinite amounts of and not lose value in the currency due to being the basis for what all other countries on the planet use for measuring the worth of their currencies. It's all, oh man, if only there were, if only we could run the country differently from how we run a company or an individual house budget, like a household budget. If only we could run it differently, but we can't, apparently, in Republican world.
If this continues, the country will become de facto bankrupt. It's not an optional thing. It is an
We make the money. We can't go bankrupt. Ah. Also, you know what does guys, before I lose my shit. Does anyone want to take a wild stab at what doesn't help massive deficits? Anyone want to take a stab? What doesn't help with massive deficits? Is it tax cuts? Ding, ding, ding. You got it, very knifey duck. Tax cuts do not help with massive deficits. Even if we granted everything that he's saying, which you absolutely should not, but even if we did, all right, understand that the reason they're cutting all of this spending is so that they can give the biggest tax cut in global history to the richest people currently alive. That doesn't reduce the deficit. It's just a lie. Also, Matt Binder, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome, Raiders. I hope you had a good stream. Thank you for being here, folks. Yeah, like, I don't know, cutting $2 trillion from the budget and then giving $4.5 trillion in tax cuts doesn't seem like a really balanced budget to me. Just throwing that idea out there. God, I hate this man so much.
essential thing. That's the reason I'm here, and taking a lot of flack and getting a lot of death threats. By the way, I mean, I'd like to stack them up, you know.
Good night, Sophie Bliss.
But if we don't do this, America will go bankrupt. That's why it has to be done.
That's why it has to be done. Definitely not because of the tax cuts. Don't look at the tax cuts. Don't do it. Don't look at the budget just passed by the Republicans in the House. Don't look at that. We're just little birthday boys. We're just little birthday boys.
Confident at this point, knock on wood, you know, knock on my wooden head. There's got a lot of wood up there. That
What?
wooden head. Confident at this point, knock on wood, you know, knock on my wooden head. There's got a lot of wood up there.
What does that mean? Are you calling yourself a moron? Or is he making a dick joke? I understand the blockhead bit, but I think that's what I was initially leaning towards, but I think he wanted to say I've got a lot of wood because he has the mind of a teenage boy. I think he was trying to make a dick joke at a cabinet meeting. I hate him.
That we can actually find $1 trillion in savings. That would be a roughly 15% of the $7 trillion budget. And obviously that can only be done with the support of everyone in this room. And I'd like to thank everyone for your support. Thank you very much. This can only be done with your support. So it's really, DOGE is a support function for the president and for the agencies and departments to help achieve those savings and to effect.
Wait, so something that's been bothering me, why did those people care about tax cuts since they already don't pay any? Well, the thing is, they do pay taxes. A lot of them, get really creative about their taxes, but they still wind up paying taxes, right? So The reason they care is because suddenly they don't have to get super creative with their books. They don't got to cook their books. And instead, they just get free money essentially from the government. That's it.
We find 15% in reduction in fraud and waste. Um, and we bring the receipts. So people
I mean, it's not even laziness. It's just that like their tax rate may be low, proportionally lower than like a working class tax rate, but they want it to go lower. That's it. That's all there is to it. They don't need that money. Exactly. They don't need it. They just want it. Because the entire system we're in rewards that. They want all of the money. They don't want some of the money, they want all of the money.
say like, well, is this real? Just go to doge.gov. We line item by line item, we specify each item. So,
And every single thing in there is a lie. There've been so many news stories about how Doge is cooking their books so hard, and so much of the information on there is inaccurate or like has already been paid out, and that Doge didn't actually save any money whatsoever. It's all just lies.
and I should say, we will make mistakes. We won't be perfect, but when we make a mistake, we'll fix it very quickly.
The issue is when you're a government dealing with millions, hundreds of millions, billions, hundreds of billions, or even trillions of dollars, you can't afford to just make a mistake and then fix it very quickly. You've got to make sure your system works perfectly, because when the government misses those payments, that can be life or death for people. There's a reason why this is complicated. There's a reason why government has built-in inefficiencies, and it's to deliberately ensure mistakes aren't made, that folks don't needlessly die.
So, for example, with USAID, one of the things we accidentally canceled very briefly was Ebola, Ebola prevention. I think.
Point in fact, when you accidentally cancel Ebola prevention, people die, dog. And it's not accidentally. You just ended USAID. You blanket ended funding for everything. You didn't accidentally do that. You knew you were going to hit this shit. Don't be cute. Whoopsie doodle, just several of my workers in my Tesla auto manufactory lost their hands in the machinery, the poor dears. Whoopsie doodles. Like, that's the kind of attitude he has right now, and I hate it. I despise it.
We all want Ebola prevention. So we restored the Ebola prevention immediately, and there was no interruption.
I doubt that immensely. I do not believe you when you say there was no interruption. Because I think when the people in those departments suddenly got the notice that they're not going to get any more funding.
YTF would he brag about that? JFC.
When the people in those departments get the word down that they're not going to get funding anymore, they start looking for other jobs. They stop doing their work like you wanted them to. This was the plan. You're doing the thing you all planned openly to do. And in this case, it results in people dying.
But we do need to move quickly if we're to achieve a $1 trillion deficit reduction in financial year 2026. It requires saving $4 billion per day, every day, from now through the end of September. But
yeah, it's too bad we don't have like a I don't know, like a federal reserve of some kind to some kind of centralized bank of some sort to manage money in that way. It's too bad. We never figured that one out.
We can do it, and we will do it. Thank you.
Would you have any questions of Elon while we're on the subject of rhetoric? Because we'll finish off with that. And if you would have any questions, please ask. You could ask me or Elon. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President.
If you have any questions, you can ask me or Elon. Is such an odd way to phrase it. You're the president of the United States, not Elon Musk. It's insane. I mean, I don't know if Donald Trump is just old and tired. I don't know if he's just been bought. I don't know what's going on here, but I do know that this freak from South Africa is not our president.
Doge says terminated contract, saved dollar so, I saved $2,000 by not buying a new furnace, cut that waste. Mom might die, but oh well.
Exactly, sorry you're blue. Like that's their math. Their math is just like hypothetical transactions.
Thank you, Mr. Musk. I just wanted to ask you that President Trump put out a Truth Social today saying that everybody in the cabinet was happy with you. I just wondered if you had heard otherwise, and if you had heard anything about members of the cabinet who weren't happy with the way things were going, and if
The reason they're asking this question is because of all of the chaos with Elon sending out direct calls for government employees to respond to his email, and then different department heads, all of whom are in this room right now, responding and saying, don't answer that email. Which is, an internal schism forming. And I think we should do everything we can to encourage that.
if so, what are you doing to address those any dissatisfaction?
Hey, Elon, let the cabinet speak just for a second. Is anybody unhappy with Elon?
We're all having so much fun here, aren't we, folks? What an amazing time. What a silly question. Good one, boss. Indeed. Help me understand, please, if we can just keep printing money and never default on our deficit, why can't they have their tax breaks without cutting? Well, because there's a limit to how much money they can print before inflation becomes an issue. The reason we always have a bit of inflation is because of like the practice of like quantitative easing, printing money. If you print too much money, it can have disastrous economic effects. But like, because our currency is relatively unique, being like one of the basically the international form of currency that like a lot of countries trade in and value like oil in and stuff like that, it gives us more ability to print, but it doesn't give them $2 trillion out of nowhere enough to print, That's not doable. That would be felt.
If you are, we'll throw them out of here.
If anyone's unhappy, we'll throw them out of here. Yeah, they're definitely all going to speak up like that at a highly publicized press event. Everyone's loyal, right, guys? Ha 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 ha! Of course we're loyal, sir. Why, we'd never think of any bad things to happen to Elon. Ha 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 ha!
We have a lot of respect for Elon, and
They
that
all
he's doing
clap.
this, and some disagree a little bit, but I will tell you, for the most part, I think everyone's not only happy, they're thrilled. So go ahead, Elon.
And President Trump has put together, I think, the best cabinet ever. Literally. So,
I how can you say that? I don't know. Like I feel like I'm not even all that well versed on the history of different presidential cabinets, but like there are some pretty famous ones. Oh, all right.
and I do not give false praise. This
Yeah, I would never lie about people doing something well. I would never do that. I'm Elon Musk. I'm known as being a truth teller.
is an incredible group of people. I
Good
don't
night,
think that
Ashley.
such a
Get
talented
good
team
sleep.
has actually ever been assembled. I think it's literally the best cabinet that the country has ever had, and I think the company should be incredibly appreciative of the people in this room.
I'm sorry. Did you guys hear that? That wasn't just a trick in my ears, right?
And I think the company should be incredibly appreciative.
He just called America the company.
Go fuck yourself. Of the people in this room.
Mr.
Go
Musk.
ahead, please. Yeah.
Mr. President, thank you, Mr. Musk. Are there about half of the government employees so far appear to have responded to your request for what they've been doing over the past week? Is there a timeline in place for next moves for people being fired, and when can the American people expect to see results of that?
Oh my god. What an excellent question. About half the government employees haven't responded. When are you going to fire them, Sir Elon? Sir? Are you like what? The obsequiousness disgusts me.
Request for what they've been doing over the past week. Is there a timeline in place for next moves for people being fired, and when can the American people expect to see results of that?
Also, I'm just going to throw this out there. If Elon Musk is not the head of Doge, why is he here? This is definitely going to be used in a courtroom about how he obviously controls Doge because he's here and Amy Gleason, the random lady that they found yesterday to be the head of Doge, doesn't seem to be. So, I don't know, that's kind of weird. That's a bit strange.
Yes. Well, to be clear, I think that email perhaps was best interpreted as a performance review, but actually it was a pulse check.
Oh, well, you see, when I sent an email that said respond to this or you're fired, that was really just a clever performance review. It was that I was just testing you all to see if you were awake. Haha, bedazzled by my genius.
Review. Do you have a pulse? Do you have a pulse and two neurons? So if you have a pulse and two neurons, you can reply to an email. This is
I have seen circle jerks before, but this is the rare Ouroboros jerk. Are we sure this is not a violation of TOS? Asking for a friend.
You know, I can't guarantee that this is not a breaking of TOS. I can't. I'm sorry. I run that risk with this segment. Also, very knifey duck. Thank you for the $5 dono. I really, really appreciate it.
I think not a high bar, is what I'm saying. This is, anyone could accomplish this. But what we are trying to get to the bottom of is we think there are a number of people on the government payroll who are dead, which is probably why they can't respond.
Dog, there's like an alternate reality. There's an alternate reality somewhere in the multiverse where instead of doing all of this, Elon Musk tries to do like stand up and just gets mercilessly mocked and booed off the stage for like 5 years, which like in turn properly sizes his ego. And instead he just goes on to become like a normal guy who's like, maybe a little bit funny due to like sheer effort. I wish we were in that universe. I wish we were in the universe where like Elon Musk was not a household name and instead he just got booed off the stage for 5 years. I wish we were in that one. That'd be nice. But no, we have to deal with this one. We have to deal with this one, which is just one unending Curb Your Enthusiasm soundtrack.
And some people who are not real people, like they're fictional individuals that are collecting paychecks. Well, somebody's collecting paychecks on a fictional individual. So we're just literally trying to figure out, are these people real? Are they alive? And can they write an email? Which I think is a reasonable expectation.
It does take just absolutely an amount of brain deadness that we haven't ever really seen before for this man to walk into a cabinet secretary meeting and say, we don't actually know if the people who work for the US government are real or not. And not to immediately get laughed out of the room. Like, we're so cooked, guys.
For the American public would have at least that expectation of someone in the public sector.
Mr. Musk, roughly 1 million employees. Roughly 1 million employees have responded so far to this email. Does that mean that the remaining 1 million or so federal employees now risk being terminated? And is it your understanding and expectation when you post a directive on X that the cabinet secretaries will follow that order? Because several agencies have instructed employees that this is voluntary or not to respond.
Yeah, well, I mean,
man, so many of these people, like, let me just back up real quick. This guy in particular, so many people in this room are just sitting there like, I would really rather be anywhere else. What went wrong in my life that I am here?
That this is voluntary or not to respond.
Yeah, well, I mean, so I guess.
Oh, yeah, Maya Ortiz, what Dave Chappelle incident, he got mercilessly booed when going on stage with Dave Chappelle, to the extent that like he needed like professional mental health help afterwards. And like he shouldn't be doing what he's doing. I'll tell you that much.
Like last week, the president encouraged me via Truth Social and also via phone call to be more aggressive. And I was like, okay, yes, sir, Mr. President, we will indeed do that. The president is the commander in chief.
Wait, you guys haven't seen that? Here, real quick.
Make some noise for the richest man in the world. Cheers and booze, I see. Elon.
Hey, Dave.
Just saying, who earns?
Weren't expecting this, were you? It sounds like some of them people you fired are in the audience. Hey, wait a minute. those of you booing,
Yeah, he got wrecked. You know, like I don't know, a few dozen more hours of him getting wrecked like that uh by stand-up audiences, I think would do him good. I think it would build character for him. Anyway, that man who is being booed on stage with Dave Chappelle is now apparently the shadow president of the United States. Super Jet Guy, yes. Dave Chappelle is also not a great guy.
I do what the president asks. And I said, can we send out an email to everyone just saying, what did you get done last week? And the president said yes, so it did that. You know, we got a partial response. We're going to send another email. But our goal is not.
As per my last email, you need to email me about what you're doing, because otherwise you're fired. Teehee.
To be capricious or unfair.
We're not going to be capricious or unfair, but if you don't respond to this email, we will fire you. Hey, we've fired like a quarter of a million employees already, but you know, we're not capricious or unfair.
We want to give people
for no
every
reason
opportunity to send an email.
And we lied that the reason we're doing it is because they were doing poorly on the job, because they were all labeled probationary, which is a status given to people who've shifted departments or to people who've been recently promoted. You know, the people you want to fire, I guess.
And the email could simply be, what I'm working on is too sensitive or classified to describe.
So, chat. He's saying you could literally just respond to the email by saying, I'm working on things too top secret for you to know about. And he'd be totally okay with that. Are you fucking kidding me? Unironically, it would be fascinating. Absolutely fascinating for some kind of citizen journalist to join up with to get hired by the US government or join up with these Doge boys and just fake it. Like, just be like, yeah, I'm sorry guys, I'm working on something too top secret for you guys to know about, and see like what all they give you access to by just saying you're working on some bullshit top secret project for Elon. I feel like if you did that, you could get access to basically any national secret in the US government right now. It'd be the story of a lifetime.
Like literally just, that would be sufficient. You know, I think this is just common sense.
And what is your target number for how?
It's just common sense, you know, to threaten to fire everyone in the government unless they respond to an email from me, an unelected guy who hasn't been confirmed by Congress.
How many workers, employees you're looking to cut total?
We wish.
Are you proposing infiltrating Doge? Hey, if any of you are in a position to do it, I encourage you to do so. You know, getting a few more people on the inside would be great.
Keep everyone who is doing a job that is essential and doing that job well. But if the job is not essential or they're not doing the job well, they obviously should not be on the public payroll.
Mr. President, I'd like to add, wait a minute. I'd like to add that those million people that haven't responded, though, Elon, they are on the bubble. You know, I wouldn't say that we're thrilled about it. You know, they haven't responded. Now, maybe they don't exist. Maybe we're paying people that don't exist. Don't forget.
Like, do you guys understand how insane that is? Right? They're saying that people who didn't respond to that email might just be government ghosts. Are are you for real right now? If I can't see it, it doesn't exist. You got fucking object permanence issues? You got actual baby brain syndrome over here?
Yeah, we just got here. This group just got here. Uh, but those people are on the bubble, as they say. Maybe they're going to be gone. Maybe they're not around.
Is
maybe
it the
they have
dono
other
gust?
jobs.
You
Maybe
can
they moved and
say.
they're not where they're supposed to be. A lot of things could have happened. I wouldn't say that Biden ran a very tight administration. They spent money like nobody's ever spent money before. Wasted money. The Green New Scam, all of the different things they spent money on.
The Green New Scam. They never even passed the Green New Deal. They didn't do that. It'd be really cool if they did, but they didn't. God, these whiny crybabies constantly complain. Like, guys, give it like 2 more weeks. They'll be digging up old conspiracies from like the Bush era and like the Obama era. They'll be talking about like how, liberals wanted to put you in hobbit homes, how they've ended waste, fraud, and abuse by finding Obama's real birth certificate. They'll be like pulling some crazy stunts in like 2 weeks' time to try and like distract people from the damage they're doing. It's insane.
And you've seen that. You've seen that with some of the things that I read at speeches. I read them and people can't believe when I read them. 20 million here, 30 million here for, a little educational course. So
People can't believe them. They look at me and they say, "Mr. President, this all looks like someone pulled it out of their ass." And I say, maybe someone did. Maybe it was deep in someone's ass. Deep in the state's ass.
and something, circumcision, right? Circumcision.
I'm sorry, what? Why why are you talking about circumcision? I Why? Why? Is he implying that we're spending tens of millions of dollars on circumcision?
Believe when I read them, 20 million here, 30 million here for, a little educational course on something, circumcision, right? Circumcision. $20 million.
I mean, I guess I would hope if people are doing circumcision, they're educated on it. That I would hope so.
To inform the people of such and such a country on other things and other things other than that. So,
What are you talking about, dog? Like, I know Trump is not has never been great in the head, but like I'm okay, guys. Time for me to put on my little conspiracy hat. Putting on my little conspiracy hat, my jaunty conspiracy cap. All right. Donald Trump is getting old, right? White House says that a large bruise on Trump's hand is from shaking hands all day, every day. And I'm sorry, that's bullshit. That is bullshit. I have seen bruises like that. It's not from shaking hands. Who is shaking the back of hands that tightly? I thought it was from Macron grabbing his hand. No, guys. I also don't think it's from falling. I think it is an IV line. I have seen bruises like that on people like my mom, or folks who've been in the hospital for a while. And that looks like an IV line to me. Apparently, these bruises have been appearing on his hands for a while now. And I am hoping that like there's something cooking his brain. Fingers crossed there's something cooking his brain. IV line means they're putting something into his body, usually liquids, usually or medication of some kind. Yeah. Yeah, these bruises have been apparently observed since the beginning of 2024. And the excuse given back in early 2024 was just handshaking. So much handshaking. And I don't believe that at all. Yeah, it's the adrenochrome infusions. God, Brianna Huffman, if he dies in office from syphilis, like the last US president to die of syphilis in office, that would be an incredible way for him to go. Could he hide chemo that way? Maybe. Wouldn't an IV usually go in the arm? Yes, but for a variety of reasons, you can also get an IV in the hand. Is his hair a wig or no? I mean, apparently not, but anyway, back to this. My pet theory is that his brain is more cooked than usual because something is fucking going on in his body. And, I can only cheer on whatever it is.
So, yeah, those people are, right now we're trying to find out who those people are that have
Oh, hey, all-powerful Kagan writes, hey, I work in an old folks home. I also think it's from an IV line, possibly liquid antibiotics. Yeah. Could be.
responded. Now, there'll be some agencies, like Marco has people within state that are right now doing very classified, very confidential work, and we understand that. We've talked, and, we're being a little more surgical.
Bad. Yeah, he got bad hair plugs. The infection is slowly killing him, like Tobias Funke from Arrested Development.
Marco's doing a lot of things himself. He's and some of the secretaries, so we're going to be going to them. We're going to be talking about it today. We're going to ask them to do their own
Also, hey,
version.
Paladin.
In other words, they'll look in their group, and I spoke with Lee Zeldin, and he thinks he's going to be cutting 65 or so % of the people from environmental, and we're going to speed up the process too at the same time. You had a lot of people that weren't doing their job. They were just obstructionists, and a lot of people that didn't exist, I guess, Lee, too. You found a lot of empty spots. The people weren't there. They didn't exist. I think education is going to be one of those. You go around Washington, you see all these buildings with the Department of Education. We want to move education back to the states where it belongs. Iowa should have education.
Like, I don't know, the visual of Elon Musk looming over the entire, like, he's the only person in the room standing outside of like press who are like holding cameras and stuff, and like everyone else is sitting, and it's weird. It's a really weird vibe. Why hasn't he sat down? Because he's the most important person in the room. That's why.
Indiana should run their own education. You're going to see education go way up. Right now, we're ranked at the very bottom of the list but we're at the top of the list in one thing, the cost per pupil. We spend more money per pupil than any other country in the world. And yet it's Denmark and Norway, Sweden, and I hate to say this, and you know, we're going to get along very well with China, but it's a competitor. They're at the top of the list. They're among the top 10 usually, and they're a very big country, so we can't use that as an excuse, right? Because we're a very big country too, but we were ranked last time under Biden. We were ranked 40 out of 40. They do the 40 certain nations that they've done for a long time. It seems to be 40 for whatever reason, and we were ranked.
Just rambling about education. Camera remains focused on Elon Musk.
Number 40. A year ago we were 38, and we were 30. Now we hit 40, and so we're last in that, and we're first in cost per pupil. So I would say that's unacceptable. Lawrence, you have something?
So, Mr. President, I know you like competition, and I know it's early, so which department are you most impressed with? And then to Mr. That's the first one. Which department have you received the most resistance from? Mr. President,
well, I think both of those questions are a little bit...
little bit spicy.
And look, it's very early. Right now, I think I'm impressed with everybody. So far, everybody.
I mean, I do think that Donald Trump... I think that J.D. Vance might be worse for a bit. But hear me out. Every Republican has tied themselves to Trump. Every elected Republican right now has tied themselves to Trump specifically. And we've seen that Donald Trump has like this has this sway and power in the party. And J.D. Vance doesn't have that. And I think that because he doesn't have that, he would be someone that the Republican Party would turn on in an instant if they needed a fall guy. You know? Like, the knives would be out and, like, economic turmoil would be coming and, like, I think they'd be looking for a scapegoat and he'd be perfect for that, for them. The thing that Donald Trump dying doesn't take care of is Elon Musk looming over Washington. But, you know, I think it would maybe solve a good deal of our problems because Trump is the only Trumpism, MAGA, it's the only thing holding together this Republican coalition.
Well, if I wasn't in the first month,
Hey,
and some of them just got here, they just got approved 2 days ago, right? But I think I'm very impressed with everybody. So far, I'm very happy with all of the choices. I think that Elon has done incredibly with some groups, and some groups are much easier than others. It is true. State is a, very difficult situation. We're right now negotiating very successfully, I think, with Russia and with Ukraine, and we have a lot of countries involved, and we have to be a little bit careful what we do and who we're terminating. But Marco is doing that I think he's going to be very precise. It's going to be, we're cutting down government. We're cutting down the size of government. We have to. We're bloated. We're sloppy. We have a lot of people that aren't doing their job. We have a lot of people that don't exist. You look at
Citation needed. They're making a lot of claims about just government employees not existing. You have yet to prove one instance of that.
Social Security as an example. I mean, you have so many people in Social Security where, if you believe it, they're 200 years old. And what we're doing is finding out our checks going out for.
No, COBOL programming language just defaults to like 1875 for like their birth year if no birth year is present in their data.
That. And if somebody cashed in those checks who's maybe 35 years old, okay? So there's a lot of dishonesty, there's a lot of fraud. But I think at this moment, I'll take Elon off the spot. I think that he's impressed. He said it very well, better than I can say it, that he's impressed with the people in this room, very impressed. And I am too, and it's too early to say, but I think everybody's on board. They all know. We want to balance a budget. We want to have a balanced budget within a reasonably short period of time, meaning maybe by next year or the year after, but maybe maybe even sooner than that.
Mr. President, your number one issue was the border. We just got new information that they're doxing our federal agents. They're putting their personal information out there, these activists, and they're disrupting the operation. So you got Trinidad Hager running all
Well, we
across
have
the country.
activists that
What? You got rogue activists doxing our agents, so you've got Trendale Ragua running rampant over the country. What, dog? What the fuck? What are you talking about?
and a
So
lot of
what are we
those,
going to do about the activists?
yeah, a lot of those activists
What are you gonna do about the activists, sir?
are acting illegally, and we'll give that
In what way? Be specific.
to our Attorney General, and she'll take a look at that very strongly. But we're also having tremendous support from Border Patrol, from ICE. The ICE agents have been unbelievable. Border Patrol, their leadership at Border Patrol has been incredible, and they're working very well. And as you know, and I saw you reporting it this morning, actually, we set records on the least number of illegal aliens coming in, migrants coming into our country that we've had in more than 50 years. And we did this all within a period of weeks because we took over a mess. The world was pouring in. And remember, they were coming in from jail
We took over a mess and ruined a perfectly okay country.
and prisons and mental institutions and insane asylums, and they were gang members and drug dealers. Anybody wanted to come in, they could, and from not just South America, from all over the world. So it's amazing what they've done, and Christie and Tom Holman, the job they've done has been absolutely amazing. We set records for, and we want people to come into our country, by the way, but they want to come in, they have to come in legally. I want
You know, it's insane. You know, we want people to come to our country, obviously, but we want them to come in legally, which is why we've created an entirely new way for them to come in if they have millions of dollars. What's that? You want us to rework the way people can come into the country so people can come in here and work and be productive members of society? No, all of those people are members of Tren de Aragua, all right? But anyone with $5 million, they're good people who belong here. Absolute insanity. Absolute insanity. I can't take any more of this, and I think we ended the Elon portion. Well, like, what a disgusting display. Just absolutely presenting himself for Elon Musk. Disgusting. You really think Republicans would abandon their full-on fascistic dictatorial power grab with Trump out of the picture? I don't know that they would abandon it, but I think they would factionalize and start fighting each other a lot more without Donald Trump there. I think there are a lot of different fascists and a lot of different Republicans with very different ideas of what should be done that they tend to put aside and make subject to Donald Trump. And the only thing I'm saying is that him dying of natural causes would lead to a bunch of them having very different ideas of how to proceed, and then they would wind up fighting each other. They'd be at cross purposes. I'm not saying that they would abandon their cause. I'm saying that they would become ununified in their cause, and that would be to our advantage. Like there's no other person left, and they don't care about anyone lower in their power structure. It's just the one thing keeping them all together is a strong man. If you take out the strong man, like they factionalize, they split apart. You know, like who else is there to hold a candle to Trump? Ron DeSantis, he's basically done. Wasn't even endorsed by Trump for governor of Florida. Like there's no one else of a similar stature, and JD Vance just isn't going to be that guy. You know? Who do you think will win the power struggle? The people. Even if JD gets the spot by default? Yeah. Because everyone is loyal to Trump. They're not loyal to JD Vance. They're loyal to Donald Trump. They don't make golden calves of JD Vance covered in JD Vance $100 bills. They don't make golden statues of JD Vance at CPAC. They don't do that because they have a cult of personality around one guy, you know? Trump Jr. is utterly incapable of doing anything his father does. He's a fail son of one of the highest orders, you know? Dude can barely get through an Instagram live without snorting cocaine. Like, I mean, I'm sorry. He would overdose in one gear of being an actual politician. Well, yeah, if Trump dies from being old, JD Vance becomes president. I just don't think that comes with immediate loyalty from all Republicans everywhere. That's all I'm saying.